Welcome to the Leader Impact Podcast. We are a community of leaders with a network in over 350 cities around the world, dedicated to optimizing our personal, professional, and spiritual lives to have impact. This show is where we have a chance to listen and engage with leaders who are living this out. We love talking with leaders, so if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions to make this show even better, please let us know. The best way to stay connected in Canada is through our newsletter at leaderimpact.ca or on social media at LeaderImpact. If you're listening from outside of Canada, check out our website at leaderimpact.com. I'm your host, Lisa Peters, and our guest today is Thanh Campbell. Taun was born in Vietnam and came over to Canada as part of the last flight out of Saigon in 1975 with 56 other orphan children, and their story was captured numerous times in national media. He has toured across Canada and spoken internationally, sharing his story. Taun has had the privilege to speak for the United Nations in Toronto, multiple school boards, TV and radio interviews, as well as many Fortune 500 companies across Canada. Taun has written his memoir titled Orphan 32 and his illustrated children's book, Lost and Found, Orphan 32 Goes Home. Most recently, Taun was appointed as the Canadian Director of Partners Worldwide Canada. He has been asked to sit on a number of boards and committees, including the Mac Kids Fundraising Committee, the Hamilton Media Advisory Council, which discusses the issue of diversity and multiculturalism portrayed in the media, and Promise Keepers Impactus Canada Advisory Board. Taun and his wife, Teresa, have a combined family of 6 kids and 1 crazy dog. Welcome to the show, Taun. I don't even know how you found time to be here.
Thank you, Lisa. Great to be here. And hopefully we don't hear that crazy dog during this interview.
That's great.
He always seems to know when to jump in, right?
Yeah, mine's sleeping over there and she'll start to dream. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, and I'm like throwing things at her. So, I get it. So I'm just going to, if anyone's watching this and many people are listening, I see you're wearing a pin. Now, I have the same pin, Taun.
Oh.
I am a Paul Harris. I believe that's a Paul Harris. Am I right? From Rotary International.
That is correct. It is a Paul Harris Fellow. I'm truly honored to wear this pin because at the time, and I'm not a member right now, but I was honored with this pin by the Rotary Club up in Sault Ste. Marie. So I was just visiting. I was sharing my story, and a fellow came up to me afterwards and just shared that he was so impressed with what I'm doing in the community that he would like to honor me with a pin. And I had just recently been to a pinning ceremony for a chief of police. So that's who I thought these pins belong to, people like that, and community service. And he says, no, we know what you're doing for the community and for young people across this country and bringing hope. And we'd love to honor you with us. So I was deeply moved by that. So the next time I was up there, they had the whole ceremony and everything ready for me. And so I've been wearing this with much pride everywhere I go. And it's interesting, as I am in a room with other Paul Harris Fellows, they notice the pin and they will share their story. So there is a real fellowship and real connection with each other.
Yeah, I was honored with a pin as well. My father-in-law. So when a Rotarian makes a $1,000 donation to the Rotary Foundation, you will receive a Paul Harris Fellow pin. You become a Paul Harris Fellow. My father-in-law has honored each one of his family members, their daughter-in-laws, their son-in-laws, as well as now the grandchildren. He just continues to make these donations to which each of them are honored with a Paul. Yeah, so I know that pin very well. So
that's
congratulations.
a really neat way of doing that.
Yeah, there's my story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that's a neat honor way of honoring people too.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for joining us. We are sort of doing a special summer series, and we are now, I think, towards the end of August. And we sort of ask you 4 main questions, and then I ask you my 2 ones I ask all my guests. We sort of focus on pivotal turning points, best principles of success, failures and mistakes, and how really those can be your best successes. So if you're ready to start, I'm going to jump in and ask your first question. So we love hearing about your professional story. Okay. We love hearing about your professional story and how you got to where you are today. So I'm wondering if you can give us a couple of snapshots that were pivotal turning points along that journey.
Sure. Well, I'll try and be brief because I'm a storyteller, so it's hard sometimes. But out of university, I knew I did not want to follow through with my education degree. I was going to be a school teacher, elementary school teacher. So I didn't know what else to do but go work in the mall. So I went and worked at the mall and I sold suits at Tip Top Tailors and had a great time. But from there, I was recruited by a friend to help manage their Christian bookstore. And I was in that job for a little while, and I got recruited basically from that job into working for Redeemer University College, the university I was just attending. So I graduated 2 years before that. So in 1998, I started working for Redeemer. And while I was there, I was doing some innovative stuff for the admissions department. And I guess I caught the eye of the fellow who was doing the fundraising for the university at that time. His name was Greg Hatton. And he asked to do a coffee with me through one of my friends. And I had no idea who this Greg Hatton was or that Redeemer was even doing a fundraising program. But we had coffee. He kind of got a little bit about my background and he basically hired me on the spot. And I was at a juncture in my life again that I took it. And so I started right in. I had left that position and then got recruited into the fundraising world. And so he was my mentor, and he still is one of my mentors in life. Greg has been a fantastic, just a leader figure in my life to walk beside me and coach me, really show me how to do fundraising as ministry. There is such a hard kind of task when you are in the fundraising world. You're talking about money, you're talking about people's finances, but when you approach it as a stewardship and as a ministry focus, you are actually blessing people. You are not there to take advantage of them. You are actually there to help them. And one of the biggest things I learned through kind of this is people who have been given lots, let's just use through biblical term, they have a greater responsibility with that. And that responsibility of wealth is a burden to some people. And I know a lot of people joke saying, I wish I was burdened with that responsibility. But it really is to make sure that you are stewardly with the finances that people have been given. So when people have big businesses or they've have inheritances, the people who take it seriously to provide to ministries, they want to make sure that they're giving to the ministries that God is appointing to them. And so when you can come in and you can say, this may not be for you, but if it is, we would love to be able to partner with you and really speak in those terms that we want you to only partner with us if God is leading you to partner with us. Otherwise, you need to go and, we want you to partner with whoever God is calling you to, and leave that kind of pressure tactics down and really leave that open for the donor to prayerfully consider a gift or, partnering with your organization. When you've been able to do that and you can leave, a donor meeting, which usually starts off with arms crossed, eyes crossed, and legs crossed, waiting for the big ask, and they can actually leave that meeting shaking your hand, giving you a hug, and saying, thank you for coming. That was a huge learning for me. And so started into that process working for charities and not-for-profits and loved it. I loved every organization I got to work with, saw the different work that God is doing throughout this country, around the world, had to work with some of the bigger names like World Vision, Kids Alive International, Christian Reform World Missions. These organizations are doing fantastic work around the world, and it was great just to be a part of it.
Yeah, I listened to your story, and I think I'm a mechanical engineer technologist, designed 18-wheeler tank trailer units, got into charity work, fundraising, and it was everything you look at in your life. And I think of, you went in to be a teacher, from tip-top sales, from education to selling yourself to, selling a charity group. It's amazing how we see those pivots, and they were all meant to happen. And so I love hearing your story, and I identify with it because everything I have done has just got me to right here, right now.
Absolutely.
But truthfully, I thought we were going to talk about, I'm thinking, how would Taun answer this question? And when I go back to your bio and I read last flight out of Saigon with 56 other orphan children, that was pivotal. That changed the course of your life.
It was definitely pivotal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My personal
Yeah.
life has been changed because of that. That came in
Yeah.
2003, meeting the other orphans, meeting Trent, and that has kind of run parallel to my work life. And it has helped me because obviously it helped grow my network, my media exposure through that story, just my general public speaking and having opportunities to speak with different groups has helped me leverage my personal story into my work life. And as you say, all of this has kind of brought me to this point of what I'm doing right now with Partners Worldwide, where my kind of two worlds have collided, where I am helping people around the world who are living in impoverished communities, like I came from in Vietnam. And now I'm working on this entrepreneur business kind of side of things. We're helping businesses, global businesses around the world to scale and become sustainable, helping raise, impoverished communities out of poverty through business. And I'm doing it also with fundraising. So, all of this coming together, and then again, networking and connecting with business people such as yourself, sharing the story, sharing the vision, using my communication skills to actually tell stories of impact. It's all coming together in one beautiful picture when, as you're going through life, like, why is God putting me through this? Or and it's kind of here and there and here and there, and all these different experiences. Now it's forming a beautiful picture, and I can see his purpose.
Good. Great. All right. So the next question is, give us your best principle of a success and tell us a story that illustrates this.
For sure. Well, I think it kind of what I was alluding to, just as I've been going through my fundraising and going through my professional speaking, is this principle that was given to me a while back, where your network is your net worth. And so everybody that you get to meet, everybody that you are connecting with, is part of your value of who you are and what you can bring to people. And so my network that I have grown through, decades, has really now I've been able to leverage that for what I'm doing now. The connections that I've made through the media, the connections I've made through politics, the connections I've made through fundraising, all are coming together and being used in God's hand to really help this organization, Partners Worldwide in Canada and around the world. So it's really exciting. I'm not saying that it's my net worth, because we know where our value comes in Christ, right? But in the business world, it is a really who you know kind of world. It is who you can connect people to. It is how you can help the other people. So the other principle that I've gained is givers gain. The more you can give away, the more you will receive. And when you can give away your network, when you can connect people and you can give away those connections with people that can help them, then it's a win-win-win situation. I don't look for just a win-win situation. I'm looking for how can we all win in some way, whether, it's the community, it's the donors, I want to see as many wins through all my connections as much as possible. So having that sense of give or gain, it's not about just collecting names so I can hold them, but it's being able to, so I can give them away and bless other people and saying, oh, I know someone who could really bless your business through this way. Or I know someone that you could bless their business by this. I think you two should meet, right? And then everybody, wins out of that.
You're the connector.
Absolutely. And people called me that. They
Yeah.
actually had a different title for me before. It was called the schmooze. So
Schmooze.
yes, I think I was going to write a book under that title, How to Schmooze.
Yeah.
I just know how to make people comfortable, connect, get their stories, really hear the value proposition that people can bring to other people, and just have that in my back pocket. We used to talk about a Rolodex. It's kind of all up here and here. And I always have that Rolodex going as who can I help people? So when I'm at a networking, I'm going to one right after this session, actually. I'm going to be going to a networking session. It's who can I introduce you to? It's not how can you do business? How can you help my business? How can you take sales? Or how can you give me money? Or whatever it is. I'm always thinking through, oh, who could I connect you to? How could I support you in what you're doing? Right? And have that whole giver's gain principle behind me.
Yeah. Because they will remember you. You were the person that connected them.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Good.
And what's interesting is, in a second meeting or a third meeting, they're actually seeking you out and bringing you over to someone. And they said, "Oh, I just met Taun at this last, he's the perfect guy to connect you with so and so and so and so and so and so, right?" And so you get to be known in those circles as the person to be connecting to. Yeah.
Yeah. You're a memorable guy, Taun. All right. So our third question is
that's one way, it's good to be kind of known as memorable. I think the term, in one of the books is, it's great to be interested rather than interesting. And so when people understand that you are interested in them and what they are doing, right? That's so much more than trying to present yourself as interesting. I definitely have an interesting story and a background, but that only comes about usually after I've heard their story and what they're all about.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for sharing that. Third question, we learn more from our failures and mistakes than our successes. Would you share one of your greatest failures or mistakes? He's already nodding. And what you learned from it.
Yeah, I was looking at this question before, and it's like, oh, which one do I choose from, right? So this is tough because sometimes failures are hard to kind of look in the face and be able to say, oh, why did I do that? And do I really want the world to know about, my failures? I'd rather put the best foot forward, like my mom always used to tell. But I think missed opportunities are sometimes a failure as well. And so when you look back at opportunities that you didn't take advantage of or that you kind of had missed stepping forward in faith because you didn't think, you had the resources or you had the means to move forward. And so I did have some of those kind of in my past where people have offered to kind of join forces with me or join, and it's kind of like being offered shares in Facebook when it first started, missing those opportunities. And so, yeah, there was a time where a friend had kind of offered to kind of join forces with me and to kind of start a business. And I didn't have, I didn't have faith in me that I would be able to bring to the table what I needed to do. And then, so they found someone else and then they moved forward and they were successful. And looking back now, seeing that, oh, I could have probably been that, that person. But you always look back in hindsight, right? So it's not that I take every opportunity, but I do have a better perspective of who I am and kind of the skills and abilities God has given me. And sometimes it is a test of faith. And if it's a calculated risk, then it's not, it's not a terrible risk to take if it's a calculated risk. So kind of learning from those kind of, experiences has helped me kind of say, hey, there is some innovation that you can take because innovation always takes risk. I didn't think I was an author. And so, when I was in grade 12 in high school, you didn't want me writing papers, and same with university, it would be all red marks. So when people were saying, oh, have you ever written your book? And it's like, oh, you don't want to read what I write because it's, not going to make sense. But then I realized, okay, no, I have the skill of telling a story. And that's why we have editors. So if an editor can work with me to make it actually legible and readable, then sure, I could write a book. And that's what I did. And, gratefully, I've sold over 5,000 copies onto 8,000 copies now. And, and the people thank me for sharing my story with them through my book. And so if I hadn't taken that step out of faith, saying, okay, I can do my part where other people have strengths, they can do their part. Working together, we can produce a very good product. And that's what's happened.
Yeah. I want to believe that if I don't say yes to an opportunity, if it was meant to happen, it will come back. It will find you again somehow. Like I want to believe that. And sometimes I just, I
Absolutely.
think
Just
I
maybe in a
miss,
different
yeah,
way. Yeah, you're right.
yeah. Like I want to believe that it will come. It'll take time, or it will circle back around, or if it's meant to be, it will find you again.
Absolutely.
At Leader Impact, we want to grow professionally, personally, and spiritually for increasing impact. Would you be willing to share an example of how the spiritual makes a practical difference in your life as a leader?
Well, I like to say that makes all the difference, right? My faith is my anchor. And when I'm not connected, when I know that I'm not active in my faith, that's when you know, you get fired, or um, you're just not getting the results that you're looking for. When you are connected, when you are praying daily, when you are in the Word, you know, you're seeing promotions, you're seeing blessing, you're seeing donations come in from who knows what. So you're seeing the results tangibly when you are connected. And so, yes, making sure that everything you do as a leader, whether you are the CEO or whether you're an employee, you're still a leader. Understanding that spiritual connection, spiritual, activity is vital for you. And the prayer works. I love kind of a posting I just did on Facebook, and it says, "Pray before you overthink." And that's key. So many of us go to overthinking rather than praying. We're trying to strategize. How can we do this? Why don't we just pray? Why don't we just pray for more donors? Why don't we just pray for more activity? Why don't we just, you know what I mean? Let God do the work. He's asking you to do that. He'll do all the heavy lifting for you. And so being able to really go there first, then as a last resort.
Yeah, I love that. I wrote that down. Pray before you overthink. I think the hardest part, Taun, is prayer doesn't always, you ask for something in a prayer, you are praying for something. It doesn't always come out the way you think it should, right? If you want to make God laugh, you tell him your plan. um,
Exactly.
yeah. And
Exactly.
so sometimes it's
Yeah.
not always what
Yeah.
you think should happen, but there's a bigger story here, and it's all part of the bigger story. Yeah.
And his plan is perfect, and his
Yeah.
love is perfect. So understanding that then there's no fear. There's no fear in love, it says in the Bible. And so when you know his plan is perfect, you know his love is perfect, then you know his answer to your prayer is perfect. So if it's a no, then you know it's out of perfect love. If it's a yes, it's out of perfect love. If it's a not yet, it's out of
Yeah.
perfect love, because his timing is perfect, his love is perfect, his plan is perfect. And so you can rest in that. But he calls us to pray. He commands us to pray because he wants to have relationship with us. He wants to have that communication, as the father to child. So it's not out of a religiosity, or it's not out of legalism, or it's not out of, earning our way or anything like that. It's just that right that we have as children to communicate that he longs for to
Yeah.
answer.
And Taun, what brings you the greatest joy?
The greatest joy in my life is my family. Being able to spend time with them. We got together for Father's Day, seeing my kids, really seeing that my kids have a zest for life, love each other, know how to have fun, know how to respect others, know how to serve others. That's my biggest joy. Knowing that what I've done to sow those seeds into them and see them come to fruition. Loving my wife, spending time with her, loving on each other, quality time. We both have very busy lives. I'm on the road quite a bit, but knowing that time that we have together, someone used to say, love is spelled T-I-M-E. And it's so true. Being able to spend that quality of time. There's a lot of people who spend time together, but it's not quality time. It's you're in the same space as each other, but you're not with each other. And I love having a partner now that when we are together, we're fully present. We're laughing together, we're engaging together, even if it is watching a movie, even if it's watching a show or going for a walk or walking the dog. We're doing this together because we know what it's like to do life apart or life alone, right? Even if you're with someone and feeling alone, it's not fun. Now being able to do life with someone, where you're never going to be alone again. I could be in Africa. I could be in BC, right? I'm not alone because I know her presence is with me. And her love, daily is such a representation to me of God's love for me. And I think to myself, if her love is that great for me, how much greater, is God's love for me? How can no wonder people could not stand in his presence, right? No wonder they had to fall prostrate before him because it was too much, right? Sometimes her love for me is too much. I'll be driving in the car and I'll have a song, probably our song on, and you're overwhelmed and you could start weeping because of the love. It's not out of sadness, it's out of love, right? And that is just such a beautiful representation of the perfect and pure love that we receive from our Father.
Aww. What a great answer. Teresa's a lucky woman. So this ends our podcast with you. You tell her. This ends our podcast. We hope everyone enjoyed listening. Taun, if any of our listeners want to engage with you, find you, how can they find you? What is the best way?
Sure. So all of my social media is just my name. It's pretty unique. There's not too many Taun Campbells out there. So THANH Campbell. You can look me up on the partnersworldwide.ca website as well. For the Canada staff, you can find me there. Or you can just go to any of my social media, Facebook, Instagram, and connect with me on that way as well. So my personal website is orphan32.com. So they can also reach me through that website, orphan32.com. And there's a way to connect with me directly through that as well. So be glad to connect, answer any questions. It's an honor to be part of the LeaderImpact community because I get to meet and connect with great people like yourself, Lisa. It was wonderful connecting with you in Winnipeg and knowing your journey and what you're going to be doing. It is exciting to be part of that network of leaders who are making a big difference in this community and across our country.
Oh, all right. That's great. Thank you, Taun, for the last just over half hour. We appreciate every minute, and our dogs were silent, so we're very lucky. All right. Well, thank you again. All right. Well, if you're part of LeaderImpact, you can always discuss or share this podcast with your group. And if you are not yet part of LeaderImpact and would like to find out more and grow your leadership, find our podcast page at leaderimpact.ca and check out our free leadership assessment. You will also find on our webpage Chapter 1 of Braden's Douglas's book, Becoming a Leader of Impact. It is an amazing leadership book. You can check out groups available in Canada at leaderimpact.ca, or if you're listening from anywhere else in Canada, check out leaderimpact.com or get in touch with us by email, info@leaderimpact.ca, and we will connect you. And if you like this podcast, please leave us a comment, give us a rating or a review. This will help other global leaders find our podcast. Thank you for engaging with us, and remember, impact starts with you.